sun beat down heavily on the overcrowded Ohodu market in Lagos. Shoppers shouted over one another, traders argued about prices, and motorcyclists weaved dangerously through the narrow alleys. In the heart of this chaos stood Sophia, a beautiful, sharp-tongued 25-year-old woman. She sold second-hand clothes and could haggle like no other. That morning, Sophia was already in a sour mood. A customer had tried to outsmart her with fake Naira notes, and her phone had fallen into a gutter. Life hadn't been easy for her. An orphan who grew up struggling through the streets of Mushin, she had developed thick skin and a no-nonsense attitude. As she stood fixing her wares, an elderly woman with a wrapper around her chest and a faded head tie approached her stall. She looked dusty and tired, holding a small basket. "Daughter, Abeg, help me choose something good for my grandson," the old woman said with a kind smile, reaching for one of the shirts on the hanger. Sophia hissed loudly. "Madam, Abeg, carry your hand comet from my market. This one no be charity home. If you no get money, shift." The old woman blinked, stunned at the disrespect. "I say make I buy," she began. Before she could finish, Sophia swatted the woman's hand away from her goods. "Do you know how much this shirt be? Old people we no get sense day waka anyhow." Sophia snapped, drawing the attention of passers-by. As the old woman tried to plead, Sophia did the unthinkable. She slapped her hard across the cheek. Gasps filled the air. People screamed. Some even pulled out their phones. "Sophia, you slapped that mama?" one trader asked, jaw dropped. The old woman held her cheek, her eyes glimmering with sadness, but she said nothing. She turned slowly and walked away through the shocked crowd. That afternoon, the sun had mellowed, but Sophia's heart remained restless. She sat alone in her small, dimly lit room behind the market, her mind replaying the scene from earlier. The slap, the shock, the faces. Her shame was beginning to creep in, but her pride still whispered excuses. She was halfway through folding the clothes she didn't sell when her phone buzzed. Henry calling. A smile involuntarily spread across her face. He always had a way of calming her. She quickly wiped her face with her wrapper and answered. "Hello, baby," she said, trying to sound cheerful. "Hey, Sophia." Henry's voice was warm, but there was a serious undertone. "Are you home?" "Yes. Everything okay?" "Yes, but I need you to dress nicely this evening," he said. "We're going somewhere important. Someone I've been wanting you to meet." Sophia's pulse quickened. "Who?" Henry paused, then said, "My mum." Sophia stood up, shocked. She had known Henry for over a year. He never spoke much about his family. She had always assumed he was distant from them, or maybe like her, without one. Your mum," she repeated slowly. "Yes. I want her to meet the woman I want to marry." Those words made her knees weak. Marry? She had imagined it before. Sophia, wife to a fine man like Henry. His lifestyle hinted at wealth, but he never flaunted it. Now everything was starting to make sense. "I'll come pick you by 5 p.m., he added. "Don't be late, babe." As the call ended, Sophia felt her heart somersault in excitement. She dashed to her small wardrobe and pulled out her best gown, a tight, red sequin dress she had been saving for a special occasion. She tried it on and stood in front of the mirror. "Soon, I'll be a big woman," she whispered to her reflection with a smile. "All those market women that talk nonsense, let them wait and see." By 5 p.m. sharp, Henry arrived in a sleek black SUV. The doors were spotless, the interior smelling of leather and expensive perfume. Sophia's jaw dropped. Even though he had always been simple with her, this car revealed a man of serious means. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked as she got in. Henry grinned. "To my family house. You'll love it. Just be yourself." As the car moved through wide roads and elegant neighborhoods, Sophia's excitement was only matched by her rising anxiety. But she reminded herself, she was beautiful, she was bold, and now, she was about to enter the world of the rich. She had no idea that the woman she was going to meet was the same one she had humiliated just hours ago. The sun was setting when Henry's SUV turned into a long, paved driveway. Towering palm trees lined both sides, and at the end stood a magnificent cream-colored mansion with grand pillars and tall glass windows that shimmered in the evening light. Sophia stared in awe. She had never seen a house this beautiful in real life, only in films and music videos. Security guards in clean uniforms bowed slightly as they opened the gate, greeting Henry with deep respect. "Welcome, sir." Sophia clutched her handbag tightly, her heartbeat doubling. "This is where your family lives?" she asked, barely believing her own voice. Henry smiled. "Yes. I told you I was keeping things simple until I was sure of your heart." Sophia was speechless. Inside, the mansion smelled of lavender and polish. The marble floors reflected the lights above, and gold-rimmed paintings adorned the walls. The air was cold and rich, like money had been soaked into every corner. A uniformed maid appeared, offering Sophia a drink, but she politely declined. Her throat was already dry from nerves. Henry took her hand. "Come. Mum is in the garden. She's been eager to meet you." Sophia adjusted her dress and checked her lipstick in a wall mirror. Her confidence returned slightly. "I can do this," she told herself. "Just smile, greet her well, and everything will go smoothly." They stepped out onto the back patio, where fairy lights danced between trees. A few servants were quietly arranging dinner on a long table, but seated under a giant umbrella in the corner of the garden was an elderly woman sipping zobo from a calabash. At first, Sophia didn't look too closely. Her eyes were focused on her posture, her smile, and her manners. But as they approached, her gaze drifted to the woman's face. Then her world stopped. The old woman looked up, and time seemed to freeze. It was her. The same woman from the market. The woman she had insulted and slapped. Sophia's feet locked in place. Her mouth dried instantly. The zobo in the old woman's hand trembled slightly. She was still wearing a head tie, but her face was unmistakable. Wise, worn, and now wounded. "Mum," Henry said cheerfully, completely unaware of the tension. "This is Sophia, the love of my life. The woman I want to marry." Sophia's lips parted, but no words came out. The old woman stood slowly. Her eyes didn't hold anger, only disappointment. She rubbed her cheek absently, the same one Sophia had struck just hours before. "Sophia," the woman said in a quiet, firm voice. Sophia dropped to her knees instantly. Mummy. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know it was you." Henry looked confused. "What's going on? Mum, do you know her?" The old woman gave a soft, bitter laugh. "Oh yes, we met today, in the market. I came as a poor woman, looking to buy something for my grandson, and this is how she welcomed me." Sophia burst into tears. Please forgive me. I was angry. I wasn't thinking straight. I never imagined." Henry's expression turned cold. He slowly stepped back, looking from his mother to Sophia. "You did what?" he asked softly, as if the air had been knocked out of him. Sophia tried to reach for his hand, but he pulled away. "Mummy, I'm sorry," she whispered again, now crying uncontrollably. "Please don't let him hate me." The old woman looked at her long and hard. "It's not about him. It's about what you carry in your heart. If you could treat me like that when you thought I was poor, then that tells me everything." Henry didn't say another word. He turned and walked back into the house. Sophia remained on her knees, the weight of her actions crashing down on her like a wave. The silence that followed Henry's departure was deafening. The laughter of distant staff and the clinking of cutlery from the dinner table felt painfully out of place. Sophia remained kneeling on the cold patio tiles, tears streaming down her face, her breath hitching in sharp gasps. The old woman, Mama Efima, as her staff respectfully called her, took her time. She didn't yell. She didn't curse. Her calmness was worse than rage. Sophia raised her head slightly, her voice hoarse. "Please, forgive me. I was rude. I was disrespectful. Her voice cracked again. I was blind." Mama Efima finally sat back down. Her eyes, though tired, held a quiet intensity. "Do you know how many people I've helped in that market, In that same outfit you mocked, she began slowly. Sometimes I go there dressed like that, not to test people, but to see how they truly treat strangers. My son may have wealth, but wealth is fragile. What you carry in your character lasts longer. Sophia bowed her head, ashamed. I lost count of the young women who insulted me, who sneered at my wrapper and my dusty slippers. But I never expected that the one who'd slap me would be the same one my son wanted to marry. Sophia wept harder. I'm not proud of what I did. I was angry, frustrated. But I swear, that's not who I truly am. The old woman tilted her head slightly. Isn't it? You judged me because of how I looked. You felt bigger than me because you thought I had nothing. But now you realize that the woman you humiliated holds your future in her hands. Sophia slowly nodded. I understand now. I really do. At that, Mama Efima stood again. She motioned to one of the staff nearby. Escort her out. The maid looked at Sophia with a bit of pity, but followed orders. As Sophia was helped to her feet, she looked back one last time. Please tell Henry. I never meant to hurt his mother. I'll live with this guilt forever. The old woman didn't respond. She only turned her face toward the garden and sipped her zobo, her heart aching, not just for herself, but for her son. Later that night, Henry sat alone in the private lounge upstairs, a glass of untouched wine on the table beside him. He scrolled through photos of Sophia on his phone, pictures from the church retreat, her shy smile on their first date, her proud face the day he told her he loved her. How could someone so beautiful carry so much pride? His mother entered the room quietly. He didn't look up. She's gone, Mama Efima said. Henry exhaled. Good. She begged, she added. I'm sure she did, he replied flatly. His mother sat across from him. You know, I forgave her. Henry looked at her now, surprised. I didn't want to at first. But something in her eyes, it wasn't wickedness. It was ignorance, pain, and maybe a little pride. Yes, but that kind of pride can be broken. And broken pride often makes the most humble hearts. Henry looked away. Mum, what if she never truly changes? His mother smiled. Then she'll lose you. But if she does change, you'll lose something far greater by walking away too soon. Days passed. Then weeks. And silence swallowed everything. Sophia heard nothing from Henry, not a message, not a call, not even a whisper from mutual friends. Her world, once full of color and hope, had become gray and cold. The market that used to be her territory now felt like a prison of judgment. Whispers followed her like shadows. That's the girl who slapped an old woman. And the old woman turned out to be her boyfriend's billionaire mother. God caught her. Sophia couldn't bear it. She closed her stall. Her daily income vanished. Her joy left with it. In the small room she rented behind the mechanic yard, she sat alone with her thoughts. No makeup. No pride. Just a broken girl, wrestling with herself. She thought about Henry every day. Not just because she missed him, but because she had truly hurt him. She hadn't just slapped a stranger. She had disrespected a mother. A woman. A soul. She began to reflect on her past. The pain of growing up in the streets. The hunger. The survival. Somewhere along the line, she had become hard. Proud. Quick to attack before being attacked. She thought it was strength, but it was just a wound with armor. One Sunday afternoon, just as she finished eating a bowl of Gary soaked with groundnut, she heard a soft knock on her door. It was the local church volunteer boy. He handed her an envelope. No name. Just told to give you this, he said. She opened it with trembling hands. Sophia, I loved you with all my heart. But love isn't just kisses and promises. It's how we treat people who can do nothing for us. My mother forgave you. I needed time to see if you could forgive yourself. If your heart is truly different, meet me back at the place where it all began. Not as a seller, but as someone ready to serve others. Henry. Sophia clutched the letter to her chest and sobbed. She had cried before, but this time, it wasn't from shame. It was from a deep, aching hunger to be better. The next morning, Sophia rose before dawn. She wore a simple blouse and wrapper. No makeup, no pride, just peace. She gathered all the decent clothes she could find from her old stock, mostly the ones that remained unsold. With help from 2 church sisters, she returned to the market, not to sell, but to give. She laid out the clothes under a large umbrella. Free clothing for the elderly, the hand-drawn sign read. At first, people were skeptical. Then an old man approached, hesitant. Sophia smiled and helped him pick out a shirt. Then a woman with one eye blind came forward. Sophia tied her wrapper properly and offered her slippers. Word spread fast. By noon, a small crowd had gathered, watching as Sophia served the same market she once ruled with pride. But now, she was humble, gentle, kind. Across the street, seated in a black SUV with tinted windows, Henry and Mamarafima watched quietly. She came, Henry said softly. His mother smiled. And this time, she didn't come with red heels or expensive perfume. She came with heart. Henry felt tears sting his eyes. He opened the door. Sophia didn't see him at first. She was kneeling, helping a bent elderly woman wear a blouse when a familiar hand reached out to her. She looked up. Henry stood there. No anger. Just love. For a moment, they said nothing. Then he whispered, "You're more beautiful now than you've ever been." Sophia broke down in tears. And this time, it wasn't regret, it was redemption.